Hello everyone. Welcome to Careers in Human Rights. This module is coming to you from the Goldstein Family Community Chair in Human Rights at the University of Nebraska at Omaha, with special thanks to the Goldstein Center for Human Rights. Now let's start with the basics. Human rights are an idea. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights that you see here is a statement of principles, rights, and protections we all have just by virtue of being human. This includes things like the right to freedom of thought, freedom of peaceful assembly, the right to education, the right to equality before the law, the right not to be tortured or arrested and detained arbitrarily, the right to own property, the right to free choice of employment, the right to a standard of living adequate for the health and well-being of yourself and your family. We can think human rights into existence, we can write them down on paper, but we have to work to make them real. And let's face it, there's a lot of work to be done. So let's talk about what you can do in the work of realizing human rights. Given the sheer breadth of human rights and potential ways to be involved, I think it's helpful to begin by thinking about both the type of work and the geographic scope of different organizations and agencies that work for human rights. There are many organizations that work worldwide to promote human rights and do so in a variety of ways. First, civil society organizations such as Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch. These organizations monitor human rights in countries all over the globe. They investigate human rights violations and bring them to light in country reports, annual reports, and in campaigns against specific abuses. Amnesty International, with its large voluntary membership, has famously carried out letter-writing campaigns to free political prisoners in countries around the world, especially during the Cold War. And in the words of Executive Director of Human Rights Watch, Ken Roth, this organization works to, quote, scrupulously investigate abuses, expose the facts widely, and pressure those with power to respect rights and secure justice, end quote. And as noted here, the Human Rights Watch staff includes country experts, lawyers, journalists, academics, and more. So if that sounds like the kind of work you want to do in your career, read more at their career portals. In addition to advocacy, some organizations also work directly in the law, pursuing accountability for human rights violations and seeking to deter future ones by taking cases to court. Organizations such as the International Commission of Jurists provide legal submissions to international courts, and the Center for Justice and Accountability takes cases to court. Clearly, going to law school and entering the legal profession is a primary career path for being involved in the work of human rights. But the CJA also gives me the opportunity to point out something else about working in the field of human rights. Take a look at the impact page in the What We Do section of their website. This is an excellent example of an organization presenting their work and its importance in a clear and succinct fashion. They say, "We make law. We uphold truth and dignity. We win cases." So while lawyers are winning cases in court, communications specialists articulate those successes to the public, and web designers make the information accessible to everyone. I think this is an important point when it comes to thinking about translating your interest in human rights into a career. Even in organizations focused on the law, being a lawyer isn't the only way to make a contribution. As with any large organization, there is a lot of activity to make the mission succeed. Finally, there are careers in human rights within government itself or in international organizations that governments belong to. For example, the Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor at the United States Department of State is responsible for monitoring and advocating for human rights in countries around the world, as well as reporting on human rights practices within the United States. International organizations like the United Nations, the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, or the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe work in numerous areas of human rights on everything from good governance and rule of law to education and conflict prevention. Now, if we zoom in on the local level, you'll see there are numerous human rights-related organizations right here in the Omaha area. Among them, organizations such as the Heartland Workers Center, which defends workers' rights, the right to a job that is safe, pays a fair wage, and is free from discrimination and harassment. The organization works to strengthen civic participation and to develop leaders in the community. The Women's Center for Advancement works to address the many issues facing victims of domestic violence and sexual assault while working to reduce the number of future victims through education and prevention. The Immigrant Legal Center is an affiliate of the Justice for Our Neighbors network, and it works to welcome immigrants into our community with high-quality legal services, education, and advocacy. The Refugee Empowerment Center works to resettle refugees who are transitioning from vastly different backgrounds into American life. They focus on helping their clients to live and work productively, to further their education, and achieve a better life for themselves and their children. Similarly, Lutheran Family Services engages in 3 broad service areas, including their community services focused on using their expertise in direct support for refugees, immigrants, asylees, and victims of human trafficking. What you'll notice about these local organizations is that they have a particular area of focus. They're working for immigrants' rights, refugees' rights, the rights of workers, all specific areas and all human rights. Keep this in mind when you're thinking about translating your interest in human rights into a career. Human rights can be articulated many ways, and there are many particular areas of focus in which to work. The organization you're interested in might not use the term human rights in its name, but it might be doing exactly the kind of work you're interested in. And while the headquarters of many of the national and international human rights organizations are often based in cities like Washington, D.C. and New York, you're likely to find local organizations with your specific interest working all over the country. Now let's talk about what you can do now to prepare for your career in human rights. First, familiarize yourself with the resources of UNO's Academic and Career Development Center. They provide career resources to UNO students and alumni at many stages of the process, whether that's searching for jobs, reviewing your resume for submitting in an application, helping you with practice interviews, and more. When it comes to finding job opportunities, take a look at Handshake. As UNO students, you have access to the Handshake system. On this, you can search for full-time jobs, part-time jobs, internships, and fellowships. You can set the search parameters to find these opportunities here in the Omaha area or beyond. And remember, this is a good time to try out a variety of search terms. Searching for human rights will generate one set of findings, while searching for something more specific that reflects the particular focus within human rights that you're interested in, like refugee rights or workers' rights, will bring up a different list. So try a variety of searches to find what you're looking for. Second, have a resume. This one-page, straightforward accounting of your educational background, professional experience, volunteer experience, and skills is required in virtually all job application processes. So you'll definitely need one. And if you've got it prepared in advance, it's one less thing you have to worry about when you see that job posting that's perfect for you. Many jobs may also ask you to submit a personal statement or similar item that's specific to the position. And if you already have your resume ready, you will have more time to focus on the parts of an application unique to that position and get it done more quickly. The Academic and Career Development Center has sample resumes for your reference, and once you've put yours together, their advisors can review it for you to provide further suggestions and guidance to make it most effective when you're on the job market. Next, something you can do now is to read about organizations, positions, and careers. Whether you're a graduating senior or just starting college, it can be very enlightening just to get a sense of what different organizations look like, what kind of work they do, what kinds of positions exist there, and what level of experience and skills are required for them. So find organizations you're interested in and read about them now, whether those are transnational NGOs like Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, or local organizations. Even if you're not on the job market yet, this can be one of the best ways of simply learning what's out there and how you can prepare. And that brings me to my next point, which is to meet with people in those organizations and positions to hear about what they do, how they got to their position, and to establish connections in the field. Using Handshake, UNO Connections, Alumni Connections, and a professional networking site like LinkedIn can help you establish initial contact and potentially set up what are known as informational interviews, in which you talk to someone who has the kind of career you're interested in and learning what their experience has been. Meet for coffee, keep the meeting brief, maybe 15 minutes or so, and make sure you've done your homework. That is, you want to make sure that you're asking the kinds of questions about the person's organization that aren't answered on the front page of the company website. And based on what you gather about what it takes to have a career in human rights, from reading about organizations and from those kinds of informational interviews, identify and learn transferable skills that will serve you in a variety of fields and positions. Learn languages, practice and improve your writing skills, your speaking skills, practice interviewing, learn about grant writing, learn different software applications and how to work with and interpret quantitative data. And last but not least, this brings me to my final point about what you can do now to prepare for your career in human rights. Make the most of your university coursework to learn and practice your skills, and also make sure your professors get to know you. Your professors are invested in your success inside and outside of the classroom. At a minimum, you are likely to need letters of recommendation when applying for jobs or going on to law school or graduate school. The better your professors know you and can remark on your motivation and commitment to work in human rights, the stronger those letters will be, and the more weight they'll carry with an employer or admissions committee. Now let me conclude by reminding you that human rights are a set of ideas, which makes the work required to realize them all the more important. None of it happens without you. So let's get to work. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.